Hello and welcome to Never Seen It, a podcast about movies we've never seen. My name is Trent. I'm here with my wife, Betsy.
That's me.
Today, it is our penultimate episode of Oscar movies.
For 2021.
I don't know.
However they pay attention to that.
Right.
Those rules.
It was the movies that came out in 2021.
Yeah,
last
those
year.
movies.
Anyway, Oscars. Today, we're going to cover Drive My Car.
Mm-hmm.
A movie that we really know nothing about.
Of all the nominees, I can quantifiably say I know the least about this movie.
Yep, this kind of came out of nowhere when it was nominated, and like with Parasite, I knew something about it. I had heard people talking about it, and the fact that people really loved it. Have you heard anything about this?
No. This played in town like a week or so before the nominations came out. So the extent of my knowledge was, that's a movie that exists.
Sure.
And they played it at kind of the art house place in town.
Yeah.
But other than that, I know it's from Japan. We just watched a trailer for it, and
Right.
I feel like I didn't really learn too much more.
Up until like 5 minutes ago, we hadn't seen footage of it or knew anything about it whatsoever other than the name and the fact that it was just nominated.
And it has nothing to do with the Beatles song.
You don't know that, Betsy.
Okay, my assumption is it has nothing to do with the Beatles song.
All right. So, just based on the trailer, what do you think this is going to be about?
So it's a guy who's in some kind of art, like a play, or I don't know.
He's an instructor.
Like a director.
Yeah.
And his wife died.
Yeah. His wife, he's kind of a youngish guy, maybe around our age, maybe a little younger.
I thought older, but I don't know.
I honestly don't know.
And
it's hard for me to tell.
He's at a place and he has a girl who's driving him around.
Yeah, he's like, from my assumption, he is like assigned somewhere, and it's not where he lives. Yeah. And he's still getting over the death of his wife, so he gets this new job, let's say, or an assignment somewhere for this performance, and she is his chauffeur.
Yeah. And
that's the extent of it.
Yep. And there's a car, and she drives it.
Yes. And I feel like it's gonna be like, okay, this movie is 3 hours long.
This is
by the way.
3 hours long.
I have to think half of this movie is gonna be them in the car, and it's gonna be landscapes of Japan as they drive.
Quietly.
Yeah.
Looking
I have
at
to imagine
landscapes.
this movie is going to be a lot of just that.
So, like, interesting to look at, but 3 hours.
And a lot of dialogue. Because if it's just two people in a car, they have nothing to do but talk to each other.
Yeah. And we'll see, because I have found, and I've said this before, sometimes the movies I know least about are the ones I end up liking the most. And just because it's 3 hours doesn't mean it's going to feel like 3 hours.
No. But there are very few 3-hour movies that we will subject ourselves to.
Yeah, this is not something we'd have likely sought out were it not nominated for both Best Picture and Best Foreign Language Film, International Feature.
Sure.
Yeah. So that puts it in a small group. A few times that has happened in the last few years.
Yeah.
So we'll see where this one ends up landing.
Mm-hmm. So that very long intro being said, I think
so long.
I think that's about all we have to say. I mean, we're coming into this completely blind, other than the 2-minute trailer we saw before,
which doesn't give you much.
Doesn't give you much. So yeah, let's go watch Drive My Car. We'll be right back. And we are back. So Betsy, Drive My Car.
Drive My Car.
What'd you think of that one?
I don't know. I didn't dislike this movie, but I think I'm going to have to digest it a little bit because there were times where it's 3 hours felt like 3 hours. There were other times it absolutely did not. And I'd be like, oh shit, we're like 40 minutes into this already.
Yeah.
The pacing captures your attention.
At moments.
It is interesting enough, but this is the very definition of an art house movie where there's a lot of speaking in metaphors, and I think I don't know enough about the play that they're doing to understand the metaphor here.
That would help.
What did you think?
I think this is a very quiet movie.
Oh my god, it's so quiet. There's almost no music.
So much so that we noticed that, okay, the first part of him and his wife, the story about him and his wife, took about 40 minutes to explain. There was zero music the entire way until you got to the title card.
Like
the
41
title
minutes.
credits. The title credits came in at 41 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's all dialogue. Nothing really happens here. There's no drama. There's barely any emotion to speak of. It is all internal until you get to the end.
Oh, yeah. It's all internalized, and it's all about the things that you don't say.
Yeah.
And the only real thing that happens is when people start to actually say the things they're thinking and feeling. Because the rest of the movie, they are shut down.
Yeah.
They are living their existence in this emotionless state because it's the only way they can survive.
Right. And, there are tragic things that happen. There are, stories about, being beaten. There's stories about miscarriages and all sorts of just like horrible shit that people go through. And until you actually deal with those things in whatever way that you do it, you're never going to be happy. And there's a lot of that thread here of people being happy, something going wrong in their lives, and them never being happy again. And just dwelling on that terrible thing for the rest of their days. But that's no way to live.
Right. Well, and then like there's a big scene where our main character, and I don't know anybody's name. I don't know a single person's
I got a few names.
Okay.
Yusuke is the main character.
Yusuke. Okay, so Yusuke has this big speech where he, it's the revelation where he basically says that he and his wife were together for a very long time. They had a daughter who died of pneumonia at like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
That was the end of their happiness, but they stayed together, which marriages where the child dies rarely last.
No matter how long you've been together.
No, because it is just such a shared trauma that it's very difficult to get over that. And she was their only child, and they never tried it again.
And they decided as a couple to not do it.
Yep.
And here it is 19 years later, and he's asking the question again. He's bringing it up again. Do you want to have another kid?
Right. Well, she brought it up.
Okay.
She brought it up.
Yeah.
And like he gives this speech later where he basically says, we weren't happy, but we were happy, but it was kind of just messed up. Like he acknowledged that the two of them together, they loved each other deeply. They had incredible sex all the time, but it was like the only thing feeding her creativity. So like their sadness creating art.
Yeah.
And that's kind of this whole movie is life imitating art, imitating life kind of a thing to a point.
Yeah.
And yeah, everybody else in this movie is really fucked up. So like you see her, he literally walks in on his wife having sex with a man on their couch.
Right.
And he just leaves.
Right.
And he reveals later, this is not the first time this has apparently happened.
At the time, we don't know that he's just used to this happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is introduced at the very beginning, and we think, oh God, he's just not going to say anything because he doesn't know what to say.
Right.
When in fact, this is not the first time he's caught her in this act. And he's just lived with it for 20 years.
Yeah.
He's internalized it.
Yeah. And he's never confronted her about it. She's never brought it up because she doesn't know that he knows. Maybe she does, but she's never mentioned it.
Right. But he says, she wanted to talk. The day she died, she wanted to talk. And he was so scared of changing.
It seemed very serious.
Yeah.
And
he was so afraid of the balance shifting.
Right.
This fragile existence they had.
Confronting the elephant in the room, maybe.
Yeah. That it would destroy her. Mm-hmm. And in a fit of irony, she died before ever saying it.
Right. Just a freak thing.
Yeah.
And he's left wondering what she was going to say.
Mm-hmm. And he feels guilty
right.
about her dying.
Right.
But he also feels guilty and angry because she hurt him so much and so often.
Mm-hmm.
But she's a human being with imperfections. Right. And that's hard for him to understand.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that. And like the girl who drives his car around, his chauffeur.
Yeah.
She has this mess up relationship with her mom.
Yeah.
And she would get beaten by her mother all the time. Mm-hmm. And so he's complimenting her driving, and she explains the reason that she drives this way is because if she hit rough roads and woke her mother up while she was driving her to and from the train station, she would be beaten.
Right.
So to him, it's a great thing, but from her, it came from this horrible childhood.
Right.
And there's all these, parallels and metaphors throughout this thing. So, his daughter died. She would have been 23. Mm-hmm. This girl is 23 years old.
Right.
She doesn't know who her father is.
Mm-hmm.
And her mom was a mess of a human, and she didn't know how to deal with that.
Right.
His wife is gone. His daughter is gone. So, there's this kind of father figure thing happening here, too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of that. There's so many things going on. It's all about language barriers, metaphorical and literal, and, the kinds of people and the kinds of choices you make with your life. So, I would really like to watch this movie with somebody who picks up on all of the meat and potatoes of it.
Right, because I would like to expand on, like you said before, about the play that they're doing.
Yeah, so they're doing Uncle Vanya, which is a Chekhov play.
Right.
And I've heard of this play. So, this guy is, he does classical theater. Mm-hmm. They show him at the beginning of the movie doing Waiting for Godot.
Right.
And this is another, straight drama. This is a very frequently produced global play.
Mm-hmm. And his specialty is doing, bringing together all sorts of different actors and inviting in a diverse audience. Yes. Because the entire cast, speaks 4 different languages, and they perform in those languages.
They perform in their own language.
Right. So in this particular play, he's going to be directing after everything happens for the meat of the movie. We've got Japanese, we have Mandarin, we have, I don't think there's any English here, but they all speak English.
I think somebody
They're
was
not
maybe
performing in English.
Maybe speaking Filipino or something.
Well, that was the girl who spoke Mandarin.
No, there was a guy there who was also speaking not Japanese.
Okay.
Because when you're watching this movie, of course, it's all in Japanese, but anyone who was not speaking Japanese, their dialogue was in parentheses.
Right.
And there was another actor who was speaking in parentheses, and it wasn't Chinese.
Okay, I didn't get that part.
Yeah.
I don't think they identified it.
The point is there's 4 languages happening at the same time.
And we also have a Korean sign language person.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she can hear, but she's mute.
She's mute, yeah.
So, there's multiple languages, which is a fascinating thing. I would love to see a show like this.
Yeah.
Because they just literally have all of the languages that are being spoken in super titles on the screen.
Right.
And it's, like I said, a universal play. If you've seen the play, if you know the content of the show, then you can watch it in any language.
Right. You're
the
gonna
language
know
doesn't matter.
You're going to know the beats. It's just if you want to hear the dialogue. But I'll remind you, Betsy, we have been to a show like this. We have been to a Klingon Christmas carol.
Oh, yes, I forget. I do forget that time we went to a Klingon Christmas carol.
Again, you know the story.
That's
you
what
know
I'm
the
saying.
thing.
You know the story.
Yeah.
And
it's just a little bit extra.
A little bit extra is a very good way to describe a Klingon Christmas carol.
Just to bring it up a little bit, because this is some heavy shit.
Yeah. To add some levity to this podcast.
Yes.
But yeah, that is an apt description of what it is we're seeing, where you know the story.
Right.
But it's, much more because it's 4 or 5 different languages being spoken.
Right.
Because I missed that at the beginning of this movie, but I noticed that one guy was speaking Russian or something, and everybody else was speaking Japanese, and I thought that was really odd.
Right.
And then you said, oh, he does this for, that's his specialty.
Yeah,
and I was oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I was very confused at first.
Yeah, and in a part of the world such as it is, you're going to have a lot of people coming from a lot of different cultures who also they know a lot of languages
all in spitting distance.
Themselves. Like multilingualism is a very common thing.
Oh yeah,
in that part of the world.
The girl who's speaking Mandarin, she's also speaking English.
Yeah, she's speaking English in the movie.
She doesn't know any Japanese.
Right.
The guy who
living in Japan, or at least working in Japan.
Right. The guy who is the dramaturg for this show is...
He knows like 5 languages.
Korean. I think he's Korean?
Yeah, he's Korean, and he knows English and Japanese and
Korean Sign
Language because of his wife, and a couple others in there too.
Yes, this is a very international picture.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot going on here. I also remarked on just kind of the look of the movie. Depending on where a movie takes place in Japan, it is a very different experience. So if you watch something like Lost in Translation, which happens in Tokyo, that's in a huge city.
Yeah.
It is hustle, bustle, lights, chaos.
Party.
The
whole town is a party.
This is in Hiroshima, which is the ocean. This is on the water. This is quiet. This is clean. This is
very
uncluttered, industrial. Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole movie, it's like very bright and white and gray and blue.
Right.
And lots of light. And it's not cluttered at all. There's not a lot of people there. Yeah, quiet. If I would have one word for this movie, it's quiet.
Yes, that is the word that I would use to describe this movie. It is very quiet. In a lot of different ways, both visually and audibly. And the only other town that we visit is Hokkaido, which is the town that we go to where the driver comes from.
Okay. Where is that?
That is apparently in northern Japan.
I kind of figured, just because I know some geography of Japan, in that it is a long, narrow island.
Yeah.
Long and narrow. Meaning these people are driving for like a day and a half. You can't do that east-west.
No.
So they are clearly going either north or south. I don't know where they start and end, because I don't quite know where all the cities are located.
Yeah.
I just figured they were going north-south for being in the car that long.
Sure. In his Saab 900. Like, the car itself is a character.
Yes.
Because this is a guy who takes care of his vehicle.
He's had it a long
for
time.
15 years. God knows how many miles he's put on it.
Nobody drives my car.
Right.
Pretty much.
Right. And they don't really address the whole glaucoma thing, where in the beginning of the movie, he gets into an accident and something happens with one of his eyes. And there's going to be some pressure there, which is the glaucoma. There's no cure for it, but he's got to take some eye drops to help it out. They show him taking the drops every so often, but it's not like he can't drive the car. It's not dangerous for him yet. But it's the rule of the production company that if you're going to be doing this, you have to have your own driver. Because
a resident artist ran somebody over.
Right. So their insurance company doesn't allow you to be driving anywhere. And he didn't know this, so he requested specifically, I want to be staying about an hour away from where the rehearsals are going to be, because I like to do my rehearsals in the car on my way. It's his routine. He had no idea. And because it is already budgeted, they're not going to be able to, number one, cancel the driver, and number two, cancel where he's staying.
Right.
Yeah.
He's already there.
Right.
He finds this out when he shows up. And he's very testy about it because, of course, they explain, well, she'd be driving your vehicle.
Right.
And that's, that's my car. That's my baby.
So they go out on a test drive, and she impresses him with her driving ability. And that's basically where the rest of this starts here. Yeah. So.
And she just sort of fits into his routine
Yeah.
where he's got tapes in the car. He has cassettes of his wife doing the dialogue of whatever show he's in. So,
Right.
like they show her at the beginning, handing him the tape for Uncle Vanya because he's about to do the show. So she does all the dialogue and leaves gaps for him to do his dialogue.
Right.
And he still has these tapes, and he just says to his driver, "I'll just start the tape."
Right.
And the two of them sit there for an hour each way, listening to the dialogue that his wife is speaking.
Right. And for the first half of the movie, there's hardly any interaction between these two.
Right. She's just driving, and
Yeah.
they're not speaking.
There's a little bit of conversation at the beginning where, he asks where you're from, and the same question is asked of him. He mentions that, I'm talking about my wife and not saying anything about what happened. Just very surface level conversation.
Small talk, if you
Small
will.
talk, just between two different people who are going to be seeing each other a
And
lot.
he's riding in the back of his own vehicle.
Right.
Which you have to literally pull the seat down for him to get back there because it's a two-door vehicle. This is a very small little car in a world of little cars.
Yeah, a two-door hatchback.
Yeah. What is Saab? Is that a German car?
No, I think it's Swedish.
It's European.
No, yeah.
It is not from Japan.
no,
which is an
definitely
interesting choice. Being in Japan. And it was the only little red car. Did you notice that? They picked a distinct color.
Sure.
So that it would stand out. Because I didn't notice any other little
It's
red
very
cars.
unique.
Yes.
For that part of the world, at least.
Well, at the end of the movie, you pointed out she's in a sea of Hyundais.
Well, she's in Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the point, is when you've got this little Saab in a sea of Hyundais,
Right.
it stands out.
Being unique.
Correct.
Yeah.
So she's just kind of driving him around, and then as the movie progresses, he kind of starts opening up to her more and asking her more questions, like, take me somewhere. I haven't seen much of the town.
Yeah.
Take me somewhere you like.
Yeah, and he asks, so why Hiroshima? And she tells a little bit of her story, where when she was young, she left her town at the age of 18 when her mother died.
Yep.
And
There was a landslide and it
there was a
destroyed their
landslide
house.
and just destroyed their house, and she doesn't know who her father was or is. I have no idea if he's even still alive.
I think she said she's never met him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when all that happened, she basically got into this car that she had. I don't even know if it was hers or not. Probably her mom's. She drove it until it broke down. And she ended up getting a job at this place where she takes him, at this garbage treatment place where they incinerate garbage. Because there's no landfills in Japan.
It's Japan. Every inch is taken up.
Exactly. So how else do you can't send it out to sea.
Yep. And she finds it somewhat poetic. She's like, it looks like falling snow.
Right.
She finds beauty in the mundane.
Which, hey, she would know what snow looks like.
Yeah.
If she comes from that part of the world.
Yep.
So, just her kind of revealing a little bit about herself and the fact that she really has no one. She has no friends. She has no family. Driving is the only thing that she's good at.
Yep.
So she ended up driving a garbage truck, which, garbage trucks are not easy to drive.
It's a big beast.
Yeah, and you got to be skilled at doing that, and there's not a lot of people who want to drive a garbage truck. So she's looking for a job. She'll take anything she can get.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it just kind of evolves from there. And she's been on her own for 5 years. So she's got that kind of an attitude that, she's just doing it to survive. Like, the fact that she is always just hanging out and game to do whatever that he wants to do.
And just reading a book.
She has nothing else to do
Yeah.
or nowhere else to go. This is her job. She's going to get paid to do her job.
Right.
And that's it.
It's like being a school bus driver. You drop them off and then you wait.
Yeah.
You wait. That's what chauffeurs do. Any city, any place.
Yeah.
You wait. You read a lot of books.
I can imagine.
Because there's nothing else to do in the interim. And yeah, he kind of slowly starts bending his own rules after a while. Like he says, well, I feel bad about you sitting outside. I want you to sit in the car.
Yeah, sit in the car because it's cold.
And just don't smoke in the car. But then later, as he starts opening up to her, he literally metaphorically gets closer to her and literally gets closer to her because he starts riding in the front seat.
Right.
And then he lights up a cigarette and she's even like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah. And
yeah, I'll have one with you.
The two of them smoke cigarettes in the car together. And, you know, he says, I want to see where you grew up. And they go on this long journey to middle of nowhere she lives. And, you know, they have this emotional moment together where they both kind of get closure on their own shit.
Well, it's not necessarily just closure. I would say it's more of an acceptance thing in that, you know, he's saying, you know, the living constantly are thinking about the dead. And if you continue to do that, you are never going to be living again. So it's the point in the film where he decides that I'm going to continue on doing this. I can't hide from this past. I can't hide from this grief. So I'm going to do the thing that's uncomfortable for me and play this role that I would normally never do anymore.
Right. He has played Uncle Vanya, and they show him performing it right after his wife dies.
Yeah.
And he goes off stage after a scene and just
he breaks
starts
down.
sobbing.
Yeah.
Because it's too close to home, which is why I really wish I knew more about this show, because they're playing the dialogue through the whole thing, and it's clearly very linear with the experience he's been having with his wife when she was living and after she's gone, and how he feels about this situation and how he feels about her.
Yeah.
Like, there's some parallels there. So yeah, they have a guy who we meet at the beginning of the movie who knows his wife, and he shows up later.
The young actor,
and he gets cast in the role, but he is too volatile a human being, and he basically beats a guy to death. Not right away.
Not basically. Okay. He does.
He does, but he dies as a result of his injuries. He doesn't just like kill him on the spot. But anyway, he can't do the show. So they have two choices. They can either cancel the performance or he can go on in the play.
Yeah.
And it's so hard for him to say yes to that.
So he decides, hey, you know what? We need to get the hell out of here. I've got 2 days. You're my driver. Drive me.
Yep.
So they have this moment at where her mother dies. And yeah, it's kind of a sweet moment. It's very poignant. For them to kind of come together and have that father-daughter moment to a point, but at the same time, you know, he's been dealing with not only the loss of his wife, but still the loss of his daughter. He hasn't had, like, he's clearly in his like mid to late 40s.
Yeah.
So, you know, this guy has led a life, and has led a life with his wife, but they haven't really made any kind of progress together. No,
they just sort of existed.
Like, his wife, Otto, was an actress. They didn't really reveal how they met, but I imagine it's somehow through the arts. And she was an actress, but then after their daughter died, she quit. She stopped acting, which that's the theme here.
Yeah.
And then she kind of went into more production and writing. And we talked about it a little bit here. You know, they talk about the fact that she would get inspiration while they were having sex. Like, during.
Yes.
And right afterwards. But then she instructed him to, hey, remember what I'm saying here because it's important.
But she won't remember it.
She's never going to remember it. It's like, I can't remember things that I think of right before I go to sleep.
Right.
So that's kind of what her world is.
It's a weird dynamic.
Yeah, like she goes to work and does her production thing. She like works on TV, works on films maybe. She's a screenwriter.
Mm-hmm.
And while she's doing whatever she's doing at her work, she's also staying at home and just having sex with whoever that she comes across, basically. Young actors that are probably trying to get a role in her work.
I think
or whoever.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's more of a filling a void in her life.
It's a coping mechanism.
It's a coping mechanism. So I think it doesn't really mean anything, which is how he's able to kind of deal with it.
Because he knows in the back of his mind that, yes, she is still deeply in love with me, but this is her way of doing it. This is her way of continuing on and making progress in her life. And that creative outlet just happens to be sleeping with a number of people.
Yep.
Now, it's not that she's not satisfied with Yusuke. It's more she's getting more out of other people and she can continue on with these stories that come out in her mind. The best scene in the whole movie is the scene of Yusuke and the driver and the young actor. I didn't get his name. But
I got it, but I didn't write it down.
Right, it's fine. But it's them basically having their revelation where Yusuke says, essentially, I know that you were fucking my wife. I absolutely know it, but he doesn't come out and say it. He says, I know that my wife was not faithful to me. I know she's been with many men. Many men. He makes a point of saying that, like not just one. So you little dude, you weren't special because you got to be with her.
Well, and this is the interesting thing because they never explicitly tell us as the viewer that they did have sex. So we're introduced to him at the beginning in the movie.
Yeah.
And then we see her having sex with a man on the couch, but you don't see his face.
Correct.
You see the back of his head.
We are led to believe that it was him.
You assume that's who it is. 2 years later, that is who he assumes it is.
Yeah.
He basically calls him out on it. But even the other actor says, no, I can assure you, I loved her from afar. It was unrequited. Like, I was definitely in love with her.
Sure.
But it was unrequited.
And that's what he was saying before.
But again, they never, ever say,
right,
we were together, we had sex.
Right.
They never say it.
You're right.
So there is still some room for interpretation as the viewer.
Sure.
If they did or didn't. And I think that is very intentional because, those two were clearly close because she told stories.
Yeah.
That's my assumption why they probably did because they say she would tell these stories after sex.
Right.
And he knows exactly the same story that she was telling her husband after they had sex at the beginning of the movie.
Which is why I said, she needed to be with other people because other people brought out more of that story and other stories.
Yep.
Where Yusuke couldn't fulfill that part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe that, yes, they did have a thing. And just, going back to that scene of them just staring at each other and the halting nature of every
It's a long
line.
scene.
It is a very long scene. Just going back and forth and Yusuke has his long thing and the kid has his long thing and there's hardly any back and forth between them.
And there's another person in this car.
And there's another person in the car hearing the entire thing and not contributing. And I mean that scene right there is the movie for me. Because it's a lot of pent up stuff and clearly the kid has issues. What I want to do here, because this is a very long movie, I want to talk about each character.
Okay.
Because I think this is more than anything, it is a character piece.
Yes.
It's growth and arcs for everybody. So talking about the actor kid, we meet him because he is invited to go out and see his play at the beginning of the movie. We meet him basically backstage after the play is done, and then Yusuke has to go off somewhere. We don't really know where, but he's going to go to the airport. The flight gets canceled after he gets there. He comes home and he finds them, we're assuming, having sex in their apartment. And he just leaves and goes to a hotel. He's like, okay, nope, I'm not going to deal with this. I'm not going to confront them
confront it
because he's seen this probably many times before. So the next time we meet him, it's 2 years later.
Well, he's at the funeral.
Oh, yeah.
So he's actually at the funeral, and they kind of exchange some glances, and he, says his, "I'm so sorry for your loss" kind of a thing.
Sure.
So they have like this little moment, and then he's gone. So yeah, he comes to her funeral.
Yeah, you're right.
And he makes eye contact with him like, I know.
Right.
I know.
Which, again, just lends more to the fact that, yeah, they were together. So, and then the next time we see him is 2 years later. Yusuke is off going to be directing a new thing over in another city. And the kid comes to audition for his play. Now, he's auditioning for a part that is not what he ends up getting. But he gets cast as the main dude.
He gets the lead.
Which is the part that Yusuke played when he was playing it 2 years ago, or however many times he's played it.
He wants him to play Uncle Vanya
Yeah.
in Uncle Vanya.
Right. Which is a role that is much older than what he actually is. He's probably in his mid-20s.
If that.
If that. So, he's not that confident about his acting ability. He doesn't think that he can pull it off.
He doesn't think the audience will buy it.
Right. They have a couple of different moments where the first time he invites him out for a drink and the driver has to basically just wait. So let's just have a drink at the hotel. So they start talking about the fact that, I really just... And he starts bringing up Otto, his wife.
He basically Googled her husband.
Right. And wanted to work wanted to work with him because he had admired the way she was writing and like the things that they shared. He doesn't really reveal all that until much later. But
he's like, I can see the connection between you.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to work with you because of your connection with her.
And I didn't care what role I got. I wanted to seek you out and work with you.
Yep.
And it's revealed here, we don't really get a lot of details until later, but it's revealed that this kid got into some trouble.
He was actually kind of getting famous.
Yeah.
And then he got into trouble.
Right. So it's kind of hinted at that he doesn't really have a lot of self-control outside of acting, his personal life. Like, he basically sleeps with anybody who wants to be with him.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the time.
You're a hot young, actor on the come up and everybody wants to sleep with you. Fine. Why not?
Yeah. So like he auditions with the girl who speaks Mandarin. She doesn't speak Japanese.
Right.
And they show them later driving around together and they get in a car accident and they're late for rehearsal.
Right, because they got distracted because they saw him in the other car.
And so he apologizes for being late and the director tells them, well, you guys don't have anything, like, oh, she just needed an ear to listen to, a shoulder to cry on kind of a thing.
But you don't speak the same language.
And so it's like...
Clearly, you're just fucking. Yeah.
So do you have no self-control in this situation?
Right, you could just say no. And he essentially says at the end of that conversation, it's like, just be smart about it. I don't have any problem with my actors fucking together.
Yeah.
Just be on time, do your job, and yeah, that's the end of it.
Right. And he's not a bad actor. He's actually pretty impressive.
Right.
Like, that's why he wants to cast him, I think, because not too many people auditioned that wanted that part. And he probably put it like a little like secondary choice.
Sure.
Like, I'll take what I can get, but if I could get it, cool.
Right. And because I think everybody just assumed, they say it in the movie, they just assumed that the director is going to be playing the lead.
Because he has played it before.
Right.
And yeah, they have a couple of these moments where he says, can I pick your brain? Can I talk to you? You want to come have a drink with me?
Yeah, they have another moment later on for drinks and more smoking. God, Japan is weird when it comes to smoking. They have been since like the 80s and 90s, and I think they continue to be, but okay. Anyway, they go out again, and it's revealed, there's a little bit more revelations here about the fact that, I don't really have a lid on things. And one thing we didn't mention in the first meeting between these two, there's a dude who is like surreptitiously taking photos of the kid.
You hear the shutter noise on the cell phone.
Right. Which, number one, Why don't you have that on silent?
Right. It is the modern era, sir. There's a mute button for that.
Yeah, don't be stupid. But yeah, he like gets up and confronts the dude saying, you need to delete that picture.
Yeah. You taking a picture of me?
Right.
Delete it.
Right. And he gets very like aggressive towards the dude. And Yusuke gets up and like calms the situation down, saying, yeah, it's no big deal. It's just a picture. Who cares?
Yeah, I'm going to leave now.
But he doesn't actually know what trouble he got into.
No, he doesn't.
Because he probably doesn't.
He doesn't ask.
He doesn't care. He's there. He's acting. He's doing a good job. That's all that matters to him.
Yep.
But then we get a second encounter where at the bar somebody's taking more photos. Again, Yusuke like cuts it off at the pass, saying, "We're leaving. We're leaving. It's okay. We're leaving."
He tries to help him.
Yeah, he tries to diffuse the situation before it becomes an actual situation. So they all get up and kind of go their separate ways. Yusuke stays inside to pay the bill. The driver goes and pays the parking tab. And the kid comes out and sees, well, number one, the guy taking the photos is out there again taking more photos of him outside the bar. And he goes running after the dude, and we don't see what happens. But it is assumed that he either had a stern talking with him or he beat the shit out of him.
And later, I was kind of assuming that was when he beat the hell out of the guy.
It was, totally.
They don't show it,
Yeah.
but they kind of indicate that that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like Yusuke tells him, you're too volatile as a person.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean it's bad for being an actor.
Right, totally.
Because it fuels you as an actor.
Absolutely, and he saw that in his audition.
Yeah.
Like, he got very physical with the woman, not to the point where he's hurting her, but it was able to come out of him in that way. So, yeah, if you can tap into that, you can be a great actor. You just got to be able to put a lid on it. Why do you think so many actors just go fucking nuts? And
Why they got so many personal problems?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. There's a fine line. It's a very slender balance.
Right. It's the same with comedians and depression.
And drugs. There's a reason all
Yeah.
of these things tend to go hand in hand. With great brilliance comes a lot of shit.
And that's putting it nicely.
That's putting it very nicely.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, he gets arrested, and that's why he can't do the play, because they're like, hey, you were caught on camera beating the hell out of this guy. And he said, yep, I did it.
Yep, I did that. And it's revealed later as they're on the barge, there's like news about this famous actor who beat the shit out of somebody and killed them. The dude died later. And the trouble that he was in was he was caught having a relationship with an underage girl.
Yep.
And that basically lost him all of his work. He even said that, yeah, when I came to this audition, I was desperate. Like, I really needed to have work because my career was essentially over because of this issue. Nobody asked him about it. And he came in with this other girl saying, oh, yeah, I studied this part, she studied this part. Well, you can do it together. And he nailed it. He knocked it out of the park because he's a good actor.
Right.
So, yeah, he just completely fucks himself.
Yeah.
Because he could, and he knew it was coming too. He knew it was coming.
Well, and of course, the scene in the car that you said was the whole movie.
Yes.
He completes a part of the story that Yusuke didn't have. So his wife also told him this story. In the story, it's this teenage girl sneaking into a house of this boy she likes.
Of a boy that she has a crush on, yeah.
And there's somebody finally catches her in the act, and it's a burglar, and she kills him.
Right.
And then she sees the boy at school the next day, and everybody just goes on as if nothing happened.
Right.
And she is so eaten up by her guilt, she goes to the house where there's now security
and admits
camera
the whole thing.
And mouths, I killed him, I killed him, I killed him.
Yeah.
So, of course, then there's this metaphor where she is taking responsibility for her actions, and then the next day, basically, or days later, this actor takes responsibility for his own actions.
Right.
So it's like Otto was telling him through a story about the kind of person he needs to be, and then he becomes that person later. And so it's just like so many layers of things that you have to pay attention to.
Yeah. So that's the kid. Let's talk about the driver. Did you get her name?
Again, no.
Yeah, I only got a few names.
I've spent so much time just really focusing because I have to work a lot harder reading dialogue.
And it's very hard to take notes. And
yeah.
watch this movie at the same time and have it be 3 hours long.
Right.
It was a lot.
So I didn't get a lot of names. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. So the driver. So I figure we were going to get more out of her, but the second half of the movie is basically her story and their relationship as it grows.
So there's a couple of things that she does that I wanted to bring up. So we talk about how there was this landslide and her mother was killed.
Yep.
But then she reveals later that she was in the house when the landslide happened. She was also there.
Yeah.
And she was able to crawl out, and she knew her mom was in there, and she could have gone and saved her, but she chose not to.
Well, and this is what she's telling herself. She thinks that she would have been able to save her.
Yeah.
But, you're 18 years old. You don't really know what you can and cannot do at that time.
In a dangerous situation.
In a very perilous situation, you could have been killed as well at the same time.
Yep.
So it's these two characters blaming themselves for a tragedy that happened to somebody else. Yusuke keeps on saying, if I would have just not been a coward and been able to confront this situation,
if I'd come home sooner.
If I had come home sooner, I would have maybe been able to notice something wrong with her. I could have taken her to the hospital and she would have been fine. You don't know that.
No.
And she doesn't know that she would have been able to save her mom. But at the same time, I think she feels guilty for having that hate inside of her for her mother, for all the things that she did. But she also reveals that her mom had a split personality.
For a few years.
Towards the end of her life. And during the time where, she says that she was doing this, for 4 years? Because she said that she started driving when she was in middle school.
Right.
So 14 makes sense.
Yes.
And she was doing it until she was 18 when all this happened.
And she basically explains how her mom's split personality was a child who never aged and was her best friend.
Right.
And so she also feels guilty because she knows by leaving her mom in the house that it's also killing this other part of her that she actually
the good part,
liked.
Right.
Yeah. And she does this thing where she's digging in the dirt and she's smoking a cigarette and she puts the cigarette in the dirt.
Yeah.
So my assumption is that's supposed to be incense. So that's like a very, in a lot of Asian cultures, they will put sticks of incense, which is why like you're not supposed to put chopsticks vertically, is like it's too reminiscent of like funerals.
Okay.
So that's what I was interpreting that to be.
Okay.
So she was actually honoring her mother with a cigarette in lieu of incense in that moment. Like she just sort of became compelled to do it.
I get that.
And then of course they have this moment together where they just sort of embrace and get through all their shit in one big moment.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, there's one last scene and it's her. You said she was in Korea, so how do you tell that she's in Korea?
Every single car is a Hyundai.
And just explicitly that?
Yes. And she must be in some kind of Korean grocery store or something. I mean, I don't know Korean. I don't know Korean like language or like text or anything like that. I looked it up.
Okay.
Yes. But again, just the fact that she's surrounded by Hyundais, that's a good sign.
Fair enough. But she has his car.
Yes.
And I don't know if you noticed this. So
yes.
she
we haven't mentioned this yet.
She has a scar on her face at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And when she starts opening up to him, she says she got the scar in the landslide.
Escaping from the house.
And the doctors have told her that she could have a surgery and it would make it less visible.
Right.
But she likes having it because it reminds her of this whole dark piece of her.
Right.
And at the end of the movie, it's not so visible.
Yep.
Indicating she has come to terms with her shit and gotten this surgery because you can barely see it now.
Yes, I did notice that.
Okay, I wanted to make sure. So, yeah, it's just like another literal representation of her growth as a human.
Right, and her moving on and, being gifted this vehicle.
Well, and him moving on. He gave up the car.
Right.
This car he loves is not his anymore.
And I'm sure you're not going to be able to buy another vehicle that has a tape deck in order to listen to these tapes, because that's another thing.
You're not going to get a 90s Saab.
It's him holding on to this last thing of her, of these tapes.
And listening over and over.
Over and over and over again, even as there's somebody else in the vehicles, because I'm sure he's never shared this with anybody else. It's just until he's forced into doing it that he's forced into confronting that. So yes, I agree with you. Him giving up the car is as much of a growth thing as her getting rid of the scar.
Yeah, and she moves on.
Yeah.
And she is just living her life. She's got a dog. She's buying groceries.
Changed her hair. She's not hiding anywhere. Like, she's like frumpy and wearing a baseball cap. Yeah.
Chain smoking on the shores of Hiroshima.
She's got, she was like fully like Elliot Page energy the entire movie.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a total change from where she was before. And I think, I mean, it's only like a minute scene, so there's not much. But besides the fact that she also has the dog. And I don't think it's the same dog as what we saw before, because there was a dog in the house where the Korean couple were.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the same dog, but it's a similar kind of dog.
Right. It's probably a similar breed.
Yeah. So she recognized that, oh, I like dogs, so I'm going to get one. Why not? But yeah, even just getting a dog is a big step in your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's something else to take care of. It's something to live for.
Yep.
And, you know, I don't really feel like they were like hitting it on the head, but there is some connotations of suicide here.
Okay.
So the most overt, I think, reference to this is when they're on the barge and he's like off to the side, like looking over the railing at the sea, the water,
contemplating the
like
water,
the overhead shot of him. Yeah, I think that was meant to connotate that. I don't actually know, because he's at a pretty low moment here where the production might be completely kaput. They're going to cancel it if he doesn't do it, and the pressure is all on him.
Well, and when the actor gets arrested, the first thing they say is, we need to decide what to do about the show. And he's like, can we talk about this at a later time?
Right. I can't even go and see this guy.
He has kind of connected with this kid a little bit.
Yeah, and he even asks, can I go see him? Not now.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's a real big change here. Because he's been, I mean, I think they said that the rehearsal period is 6 weeks. So, you know, that's a lot of time to be spending with people. I mean, you would know. You spend not quite that long. No, actually, it is pretty long.
Yeah, but this would be like kind of every single day they're doing this rehearsal period.
Right, you're doing it like 2-3 times a week sometimes. Right. Yeah. But yeah, in this portion of the movie, this is a very critical time for him, where, you know, all the pressure is on him. He is confronted with the need to make a decision. And he's never really been making decisions. He procrastinates. He doesn't confront things. He doesn't confront his wife. He doesn't confront the other actors for fucking around and being late. He kind of just lets people walk all over him to a point.
Yeah.
He's not confrontational at all. And which is where I come back to what we said in the beginning about the fact that there's no emotion until the end of the movie.
Yeah. Well, and even when they're reading the show, like they're going around doing a table read.
Right.
He's like, stop acting. Just read the dialogue.
Just read the text, because this is my method.
Yep.
Yeah.
His method is learn your fucking lines.
Yeah.
And then you'll get to the acting part of it later.
Right. And like the girl was complaining, I want to move around. I want to be able to act. Well, acting is more than just moving around.
Yep.
Yeah. You need to learn your lines.
Yeah.
Which is where they had their little scene after they were late. She was even saying, well, I wanted to be able to be with the other actor that I'm acting with, but the big thing is that I didn't know my dialogue. So it's like, okay, this is how we're doing it. So guess what? We're going to read it all again.
We're going back to the drawing board.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned that there's like multiple places you noticed where you thought there was like allusions to allusions to suicide. What's another moment that you saw that?
So it's less overt than that, but I think it's during their little moment at the house where they're talking about the fact that you have to continue on living and have something to live for. Because they're just kind of going through their life idle. Like, all she does is drive. She has nowhere to be. She has no one to be with. We have no idea where she lives. Like, we don't see any other part of her life other than her driving.
Yeah.
And she's basically been doing this for, like, 9 years, I think.
5 years.
Well, 5 years as a job, 4 years, that's all she did with her mother.
Oh, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah. So think about that. You do 4 years of just driving your mother 2 hours a day back and forth. Actually, well, 4 hours. 1 hour to, 1 hour from, 1 hour to, 1 hour from. So that's 4 hours and 24 hours that you were just spending in a car. That sucks.
At the threat of being beaten.
Right, at the ripe old age of 14.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, there's a lot of themes about getting on with your life. And like the Korean couple, they talk about it too. Like his wife had a miscarriage and she was a dancer.
Yes.
And she couldn't do it anymore. After the miscarriage, she just was like,
she lost
that part of her, she couldn't dance anymore.
Yep.
But she decided to start acting because that particular play brought out that same part of her that dancing used to.
Right.
So it's another channel for her to move on.
Right.
And yeah, there's a lot of people who, like, those two are actually really happy as a couple. And they have found ways to move on.
Right.
And these other two have not moved on.
Right.
Until the very end of the movie. They all go on this journey. The more I'm talking about this movie, the more I'm liking it.
Yeah.
But I think, like I said, I just kind of have to digest this because it's so quiet. It's so metaphorical that until you really dive into it a little bit and think about the themes and think about things, I really wish I knew this show because I feel like that would help me immensely. And they're giving you tons of it.
Oh, sure.
So I get the parallels that they're trying to convey. But I just wish I knew the text in its entirety on its own.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. So I think that about covers it. I mean, I really wanted to talk about those three characters because I think those are the most important ones here. Besides, I mean, we didn't really talk about Otto all that much.
Because we don't really
get
it
to
from
know
her perspective.
No, we just kind of see it from the two other guys' perspective. You know, the story that she was kind of coming up with was very odd. And I think with her, the themes are, you know, you can't really know what other people are thinking unless you ask.
Yeah.
You know, that's a lot of this as well. It's like, you're not going to, if you have a curiosity about the person that you're with, ask. Because they'll likely tell you.
And sometimes if you don't ask, it'll be too late.
Right. Yeah, if there's any themes that come out of this, it's going to be that. It is, you know, have something to live for and appreciate what you have because it might just not be there the next day. So
and continue to live.
Death
will come for you eventually, but until then, live your life.
Yes.
That's the theme.
All right, Betsy. Any other thoughts before we move on to Oscar stuff?
No, like I said, the longer I'm talking about this, the more I think I actually did like this one. It's just a lot.
You know, it's never going to be a bombastic kind of a thing, and I didn't think it was going to be.
No.
But, you know, the themes that they're talking about here are very deep and very important.
They're also
to
pretty
think about.
Universal.
They are. I mean, like love and death and life and, you know, being stuck in a rut. Everybody can relate to that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, let's talk about what this got nominated for. Betsy, will you please enlighten me?
May I have the envelope, please? Yes, so this is nominated for 4 Academy Awards. So obviously we're watching it because it's up for Best Picture, but it's also up for Directing, Adapted Screenplay, and Best International Feature Film.
Okay.
So this is, like I touched on in the intro, one of the rare times where a movie has been nominated for Best International Feature as well as Best Picture.
It's happened, I think this is maybe the third time in about 3 years.
In recent memory, this is the third time, yeah.
Yeah. So it was Parasite, which we mentioned, Roma, which came up, I think, 2-3 years ago.
2, I think.
Yeah. And this one.
Yeah.
So it's rare, but it's happening more often.
It is happening much more often.
Yeah.
And I think I'd have to go and look at the categories, but certainly this one is probably going to lead the pack. I don't think this will win Best Picture, but because it got nominated for both, that's a pretty clear indicator it could and probably will win Best International Picture.
Yeah, you're not going to be nominated for Best Picture and not win Best Foreign.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Parasite did both.
Yes.
Because Parasite.
Yeah. So it won for director.
Yep.
It won for Best Picture.
And probably screenplay or something.
I don't remember.
I also don't remember.
So.
But it won at least 3.
Yeah. So this one we've got screenplay, foreign, Best Picture, and director. Now, talking about director, I was kind of. Now, this is where you're going to get me on the length. So the way it's shot is very interesting. You got a lot of themes here about looking backwards in the rearview mirror and like looking backwards through the back of the car. There's a whole lot of driving.
So much driving.
I said it in the intro. I figured half of this movie was going to be driving and just scenes of them driving. Yeah, it's pretty close.
Pretty close.
So that's harder to do, but you can only do so much in a car.
Correct.
The scene of them at night, of them talking to each other about Ota, that was very impressive. I like that scene a hell of a lot. Mm-hmm. For the rest of it, though, I don't know. I don't know about director on this one.
I acknowledge the nomination.
Yeah, I would go that far.
I'm a little bit of a toss-up at who's gonna actually win that category.
Yeah, we haven't seen West Side Story yet. That's the last one.
Right, we have one more.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this one might be a bit of a dark horse to win any of the major categories. I think if it's gonna win anything, it's gonna win Best International Feature Film.
I think that's a lock.
I think of those 4, that's the only one that makes much sense to me.
If it was good enough to get a Best Picture overall nomination,
yes,
it's gonna win Best International.
There you go.
As far as like screenplay, that's a good. I would say it's got a pretty good chance of screenplay.
I'll have to go and look at that category.
Yeah.
Because
there has to be a lot of stage direction there about what is happening in that car, how everybody is looking at each other. There's a lot of.
You have to write the reactions.
Right.
And that's very layered.
Stage direction is an underappreciated skill.
And they also have literal stage directing here, too, because they're doing a play.
Correct. I would say if it's going to surprise anybody, it's going to be for screenplay.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. We will see. We got another couple of weeks for that.
So, that's going to be the end of this one, Betsy. As we mentioned, we have one more to go. We're going to have one more regular movie here, and next Sunday is going to be West Side Story, because that's going to be the last one. Spielberg, you got to wait till the last.
You wait your turn, sir.
That's right. But until we get to that final one, let's read an email from Stephanie about King Richard.
That's another one of these movies.
Yep. So that one we watched back when we were kind of doing our guesses on what might get nominated, and we were right on that one. So, from Stephanie about King Richard. King Richard is now available for rent on Amazon Prime. I watched it and finally listened to your episode. You're a little late there, Stephanie. We watched it on, I think it was on HBO Max. We watched it with like 3 days or so left when it was available for free streaming
few
on
months
there.
ago.
And then it kind of went away and now it's available again. So anyway, I loved it. Such a good depiction of family and sisters. This really resonated with me as the youngest sister of an amazing big sis. So many of those little phrases like, quote, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Yeah. I'm glad that you mentioned the whole icing your opponent thing. I did not know there were bathroom breaks in tennis. WTF? Rich people sports, man.
Right.
I don't know if there's any bathroom breaks in like lacrosse. It's like other rich white boy shit.
Who knows?
I don't know. This movie was well written and inspirational. Will Smith was fantastic, as was the mom. The girls had great sibling chemistry. Great movie, great episode. Love, Superfan Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephanie, for the kind words and the email.
So yeah, you guys, if you're following along with this Oscar series, go back and listen to that one.
Yep.
We were doing a little guesswork, and I think we got a few calls right about what we predicted it would be nominated for.
Yeah, we got 3 of them right. We had a couple of them wrong.
They were guesses.
Yeah, we ended up watching Tick, Tick, Boom and House of Gucci. They got nominated for other things, but not Best Picture.
But we were right about King Richard.
We
So
were
go
right about
listen
King
to that
Richard.
one.
Yeah, go back and listen to those. They're all out there. But yeah, Betsy, that's the end of the show. If you, dear listener, would like to email us your thoughts about this Oscar movie or any of the Oscar movies or any movie whatsoever, doesn't have to be one that we cover on this show. If you have a suggestion for us to watch another movie that you really like, that, oh geez, you've never heard of this one, it's this most obscure movie ever, Betsy's probably heard of it. But anyway, that's the end of the show. Email us at neverseenitpod@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter, neverseenit_pod. If you wish, you can support the show by clicking the link in the podcast description, by sending us $1 there. You could also review us on iTunes, rate us 5 stars, because you know that helps. Or you could also just tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies. I don't care.
Share the thing.
Share it with everyone. But yeah, that's going to be it for us today. We've got one more movie left, and then it's going to be Oscars.
It'll be our Oscar special.
And then our Oscar special will be coming out the morning of Oscar Sunday.
Yeah.
So that's where Betsy and I sit down and we rank all 10 movies.
There's a lot this year.
And talk about them without spoilers. We don't talk about spoilers in the special.
We'll try real hard.
If you're not going to listen to any of these episodes, listen to that one because that's the big one. So until next time, my name is Trent.
My name is Betsy.
And you've been listening to Never Seen It.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.